Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, there lived a wise old man named Koji. Koji was known throughout the land for his wisdom, kindness, and unshakable calm. He had spent decades meditating in a simple cottage at the edge of the village, and people from far and wide came seeking his guidance. One sunny morning, a young man named Taro arrived in the village. Taro was filled with anger and resentment, and he had heard tales of Koji's wisdom. He had come to seek the old man's advice on how to deal with a powerful enemy who had wronged him. Taro stormed into Koji's cottage without so much as a greeting and began pouring out his grievances. "Old man," he exclaimed, "I have been wronged. There is a man in my village who has taken everything from me. He stole my land, he insulted my family, and he has made my life a living hell. I cannot take it any longer. I must have revenge. Tell me, wise one, what should I do?" Koji looked at Taro with his deep, serene eyes and said nothing for a moment. Then he calmly poured a cup of tea and gestured for Taro to sit. "Would you like some tea?" Koji asked, his voice gentle and soothing. Taro was taken aback by Koji's response. He had expected the old man to give him a plan for vengeance, to stoke the fires of his anger. But instead, Koji offered tea in a serene presence. Taro hesitated for a moment but then accepted the cup of tea. As Taro sipped the warm tea, Koji began to speak. "My young friend," he said, "I understand your pain and anger. But seeking revenge will only perpetuate the cycle of suffering. When we react to anger with anger, we add fuel to the fire, and the flames consume us. Instead, I suggest you consider the power of not reacting." Taro frowned, not understanding what Koji meant. "Not reacting?" he asked incredulously. "But that man has wronged me in so many ways. How can I just sit back and do nothing?" Koji smiled gently. "Not reacting does not mean doing nothing," he explained. "It means responding with wisdom and compassion, rather than letting your anger dictate your actions. When we react impulsively out of anger, we often make things worse for ourselves and others. But when we choose not to react, we create space for clarity and insight." Taro pondered Koji's words. He had never considered the idea of responding to his enemy's actions with wisdom and compassion. It was a radical idea to him, but something about the old man's presence and words resonated with him. Over the next few days, Taro visited Koji regularly, seeking guidance on how to put this new perspective into practice. Koji taught him meditation techniques to calm his mind and gain control over his emotions. He also shared stories of great leaders and philosophers who had embraced the power of not reacting in the face of adversity. As the weeks turned into months, Taro began to change. His anger and resentment slowly faded as he practiced the art of not reacting. Instead of confronting his enemy with hostility, he chose to engage in dialogue and seek peaceful resolutions. He found strength in patience and forgiveness. One day, Taro's enemy, the man who had wronged him so grievously, came to him seeking forgiveness. He had seen the change in Taro and had felt remorse for his actions. Taro, with a heart filled with compassion, forgave him and offered reconciliation. The two men shook hands, and a deep sense of peace settled over the village. Word of Taro's transformation spread far and wide, and people began coming to the village not to seek revenge but to learn from Taro and Koji about the power of not reacting. The village became a center of wisdom and enlightenment, where people from all walks of life gathered to find peace and understanding. In time, Taro became known as a wise and respected leader, and the village prospered under his guidance. But he always attributed his transformation to the old man who had taught him the power of not reacting. Koji continued to live in his simple cottage, offering his wisdom and guidance to those who sought it. He never sought recognition or fame, for he knew that the true power lay in the transformation of hearts and minds. And so, in the small village nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, the power of not reacting became a beacon of light, showing the way to a life of peace, compassion, and wisdom. The lesson learned from Koji and Taro's journey was clear: in the face of adversity, the greatest strength lies not in reacting with anger, but in responding with the power of love and understanding.